There is a special kind of pain that comes when your own family decides you are not worthy to stand alongside them. I had spent my entire adult life building a high-end maritime charter business from nothing, yet my stepmother still treated me like a dirty dock worker. When my father called to inform me that I was uninvited from our annual ocean voyage, I thought my heart had broken completely. My name is Chloe Vance, and my deep connection to the ocean was forged early in life. After my mother abandoned us, my father raised me while working as a shipyard technician in Rhode Island. I spent my childhood surrounded by wooden hulls, heavy iron anchors, and seasoned sailors who taught me navigation. By the time I turned 12, I knew how to repair marine engines and read coastal weather patterns with total confidence. Everything shifted when my father married Victoria, a wealthy woman from high society who possessed an endless appetite for status. She moved into our life with her daughter Savannah, who instantly despised me, and her younger son Caleb, who became my only real ally. Over time, I watched my strong and independent father transform into a quiet man who lived solely to avoid conflict with his demanding new wife. While Savannah enjoyed expensive shopping sprees funded by Victoria, I worked night shifts at local docks to put myself through business school. I saved every single penny to purchase one small powerboat, pouring endless hours into launching Vance Oceanic charters. A decade later, that single boat had grown into an elite fleet of 15 luxury yachts, catering to wealthy executives and exclusive global clientele. Despite my business success, Victoria always viewed me as an uncultured worker. 5 years ago, she established an annual family sailing tradition to display her social position. Each season, I brought elaborate hand-picked gifts and quietly used my industry connections to upgrade their trips behind the scenes. Yet Victoria and Savannah consistently treated me like an unwelcome guest, making subtle jabs about my career while taking credit for my generous planning. The breaking point came just weeks before our next scheduled trip. I was carefully wrapping gifts for everyone when my phone rang. My father spoke with a hesitant, unnatural tone, explaining that space constraints meant the cruise had to be limited to immediate family. When I questioned his words, he confessed that Savannah had invited her wealthy new fiancé. Harrison and Victoria felt my presence might embarrass them in front of his aristocratic relatives. Devastated, I called Caleb to uncover the truth behind this rejection. He admitted that Savannah had lied to Harrison, telling him that our family had owned luxury yachts for generations. To protect her lie, Savannah convinced Victoria that I was a massive liability because I actually worked in the maritime field. Hearing that my father had offered zero defense, while they erased me from the family, left me numb with grief. Later that evening, curiosity drove me to check my company booking logs to see which competitor they had hired. My heart stopped when I examined a recent reservation submitted through an elite private agency. A holding company tied to Harrison had reserved a week-long voyage along the coast. To my absolute astonishment, they had booked my brand-new custom flagship vessel, the Sapphire Monarch, without having any idea that it belonged to me. My immediate reaction was to cancel their trip and throw them off my vessel, but my closest friend Sierra advised me to take a far smarter approach. She reminded me that canceling was merely defensive, whereas using this unique moment could teach them an unforgettable lesson about respect. Together, we crafted a subtle strategy. Instead of canceling, I decided that I would step into the role of captain for their voyage myself. Over the next 3 weeks, I meticulously prepared for the assignment. I altered my hair to a darker, shorter style and acquired a sharp formal captain uniform complete with tinted sunglasses. I briefed my dedicated crew members, securing their total silence regarding my true identity. I knew that Victoria and Savannah were far too self-absorbed to look closely at service personnel, which guaranteed my temporary anonymity while aboard. On departure morning, my stunning custom yacht gleamed under the coastal sun. Standing on the bridge, I watched a sleek black vehicle drop off my family. Victoria strutted down the dock, boasting about her refined taste in charter selection, while Savannah clung to Harrison, bragging about how her family had always enjoyed elite maritime living. My father followed quietly behind them, looking deeply uncomfortable in his expensive borrowed attire. I descended to the main deck to deliver the initial safety orientation, keeping my voice firm and professional. Neither Victoria nor Savannah made eye contact with me, treating me as nothing more than paid staff. However, Harrison praised the immaculate craftsmanship of the vessel, asking about the vision of the founder who designed it. I smiled behind my dark glasses, answering that the owner was someone who believed in quiet dedication over loud arrogance. Throughout the first afternoon, I overheard several painful conversations while navigating near the seating area. Savannah laughed while telling Harrison that her stepsister ran a tiny rental booth near a public beach and lacked any true refinement. Victoria nodded in agreement, commenting that excluding me was necessary to preserve their family reputation. Rather than becoming angry, hearing their arrogance only solidified my resolve to carry out my revelation. On the second afternoon, I anchored the yacht inside a private cove with turquoise water and towering cliffs. As the family gathered on the deck for an elaborate gourmet lunch, I walked up to the dining table. I took off my dark sunglasses, removed my captain hat, and greeted them using my natural voice. My father froze in midair, dropping his silverware as color instantly drained from his face. Victoria tipped her glass over in sheer horror, sending red wine across the white tablecloth, while Savannah gasped in complete shock. Savannah panicked and demanded to know why I was dressed like crew. I looked directly at Harrison and explained that I was not merely the hired captain, but the founder and sole owner of the entire enterprise. Caleb laughed out loud, thoroughly enjoying the complete destruction of their deception. Harrison looked utterly bewildered and asked Savannah why she had lied about my career. I calmly stated that Savannah had been ashamed of my hard work, preferring to pretend I was an uneducated rental worker. Harrison turned to my father, expressing deep disappointment that a parent would allow his own daughter to be excluded from a vessel that she built with her own hands. My father lowered his head in utter shame. Later that evening, my father approached me on the bow deck while tears welled in his eyes. He confessed that after my mother left, he became terrified of being alone, causing him to constantly yield to the demands of Victoria. He admitted that in his fear of losing peace at home, he had abandoned his core values and failed his daughter. I accepted his sincere regret, though I made it clear that trust would take time to rebuild. When we returned to shore, the consequences of that trip unfolded rapidly. Harrison called off his engagement to Savannah, citing her toxic snobbery and willingness to lie as total deal-breakers. Caleb resigned from his miserable corporate job to become my new director of marine conservation, pursuing his true passion. Meanwhile, my father took massive steps toward independence, spending his weekends back at the docks and reconnecting with the real worker he used to be. Being rejected by my stepmother was painful, but it ultimately forced me to stop begging for validation from people who never respected me. Standing on my own vessel while watching my family face the truth taught me that self-worth is never granted by others. You do not need to create a scene to prove your value, because when you build something genuine through dedication, your success will always speak louder than their arrogant lies.